It does kind of bother me that I go to my friends' $20 million houses, and last year I was trying to figure out how to pay my mortgage. Those are the words of Rhymefest, one of Kanye's most frequent collaborators. You may have heard of the phrase OVO Sweatshop, where Drake allegedly exploits lesser-known artists and makes them work on his music at the expense of their own careers. Well, could the same be said about Kanye? The first artist we're going to focus on is one of Kanye's oldest friends, Che Smith, aka Rhymefest. Rhymefest became big in the battle rap scene in Chicago and once beat Eminem at the 1997 Scribble Jam. In the same year, he also met Kanye, who wanted to make beats for him. Rhymefest dismissed Kanye as some arrogant dude, but eventually they became good friends. In the early 2000s, Rhymefest came across the ARC Choir's 1997 a cappella gospel song Walk With Me. He showed it to Kanye and they both agreed they have to make a song out of this. Rhymefest wrote most of the lyrics and they came up with Jesus Walks. This track was originally intended to be on Rhymefest's debut album Blue Collar, but instead appeared on Kanye's debut album The College Dropout. This was Kanye's biggest song on College Dropout and earned him a Grammy for Best Rap Song and a nomination for Song of the Year. Speaking about why the song went to Kanye, Rhymefest said, Kanye had access. He was already signed to Def Jam and had an album slated. So this is the point where you could become selfish or practical. He rapped the song better than I probably would have at the time. He knew more about the industry, and he made that song a success. So he should get the credit for that. But he wouldn't have all that without my words. Rhymefest's career has not really taken off since. His successes are for writing for other people, such as winning an Oscar for contributing to John Legend and Common's Selma song Glory, and collaborating with Kanye again on New Slaves. But who knows what would have happened had Jesus Walks been released on a Rhymefest record. Another rapper who goes way back with Kanye is GLC. He was in a 90s rap group with Kanye called the Go-Getters. When working on The College Dropout, GLC was asked to contribute and even got his own verse on the song Spaceship. He also appeared on Family Business on Kanye's second album Late Registration. GLC was signed by Good Music in 2004, but after a 6-year stint, he did not have one studio album to his name. His debut album, Love, Life, and Loyalty, was released in 2011, which received moderate sales but critic appraisal. To be fair to Kanye, he did produce most of that album. But it begs the question, why would you sign an artist and not release a single album from them in a 6-year period? But if you accuse Kanye of using GLC, the first person who would come to Kanye's defense would be GLC. On Instagram, Talib Kweli had recently called out Kanye West for having ghostwriters and specifically named GLC, to which he responded, "Love and respect, brother, but I never wrote for, but wrote with. Ye is our brother, and with your assistance early, he influenced me to change my life and saved it." GLC does not really have a bad word to say about Kanye, but there's definitely a case that he could have benefited without him. Malik Yusuf is another longtime friend from Chicago, and he worked alongside Kanye for most of his albums. His credits include Kanye classics such as Heartless, Violent Crimes, Black Skinhead, and Bound 2. You'll not hear rapping on a Kanye track, but you'll most certainly see his name in the liner notes. In 2009, he got his first debut studio album released by Good Music, titled Good Morning, Good Night, but it wasn't just his album. It was alongside Kanye. A review from The Guardian is quite suspicious of Kanye's involvement, which read, "The true extent of West's involvement in the album is unclear, and his official credit as executive producer might not quite justify the prominence of his name on the cover." At the same time, the album is 2 hours long. If Yusuf was really chasing success, he would have likely made it much shorter and more palatable to a mainstream audience. In 2016, it was revealed that Yusuf was involved in every single song on The Life of Pablo. This was later twisted by the media that he wrote the whole album, but it does beg the question of, where do you draw the line on what is a Kanye song or a Kanye album when it's not just him working on it? It's clear that Malik is an incredibly talented guy, but what's unclear is whether he could have or even wanted to become a big star. There's very little evidence of him chasing fame, nor is there any begrudging towards Kanye at all. He seems to just be a really creative guy who's happy to work with Ye, and he has 6 Grammys to his name as well. But a better example of what could have been is Consequence. He's one of the few artists who had relative fame before Kanye, appearing all over Tribe Called Quest's 1996 album, Beats, Rhymes, and Life. He later appeared on Spaceship on College Dropout and was signed to Good Music. But Consequence didn't have the same star appeal of other Good Music artists such as Kanye, Pusha T, or John Legend, so was largely relegated to the sidelines. Consequence can be seen in the writing credits of a lot of Kanye's songs, but there were some tracks where he wasn't even credited. He co-wrote Champion off Kanye's third album, Graduation, but it's nowhere to be seen in the liner notes. In an interview with Sway, he said that he was happy to help Kanye with his lyrics, but did not get the same support when it came to releasing his sophomore album. He told Rapfix TV, at one point, Kanye wasn't even doing any music after the Taylor Swift situation. It's documented he went to Europe. In the midst of all that, I was left hanging. As a man, you can't hang your fate on no other man. But when you think the man is your brother and you talk about every other single situation known to man, you would think it would dawn on somebody to say, hey, let me make sure this all right. Let me make sure my guy is good. If I'm not your guy, that's fine. Let's just have clarity on it. Consequence has since settled his disagreements with Kanye and continues to be his friend. There is a case, though, that signing to Good Music had more cons than pros for Consequence. Sci-Hi the Prince got a bit more personal with his beef with Kanye. He aired all his dirty laundry with the diss track Elephant in the Room. It begins with someone asking Sci-Hi why he hasn't had an album out yet. Hey yo, Sci-Hi, what the hell, bro? We've been waiting for your damn album for years, man. What the hell is Kanye doing? How about you get the hell up and get something done? Kanye closely worked with Sci-Hi, but was kind of in a complicated situation. He was signed to Akon through Def Jam, and then he was with Good Music that was distributed through Def Jam at the time. But his writing credits include New Slaves, Bound 2, Famous, All Day, and Ultralight Beam. He performed his verse for So Appalled in the studio while Kanye was asleep, and Kanye decided to keep it in. In Elephant in the Room, he airs his frustration that he never gets the limelight. I hope when I'm done that we still tight, but why wasn't I on the cover of Complex? You must have seen what I done to Funk Flex. This refers to his freestyle on Funk Flex. In this clip, Sci-Hi is outshining both Big Sean and Common, while Pusha T doesn't go near the mic. But Sci-Hi has since clarified that Elephant in the Room was not a Ye diss track. He compared to how Eminem and Dr. Dre would playfully go at each other. It was Kanye's beat he was rapping over, who he played it to before releasing it. But there are still some grains of truth to what Sci-Hi said. He's undoubtedly a talented rapper, and it would be difficult to argue that he's not a better lyricist than Big Sean. He finally released his first studio album in 2017 with Sony. It was critically acclaimed, but commercially didn't do too much. He remains a rapper which many hip-hop fans consider to be underrated, and it's not unreasonable to say that this is partly due to label issues and not being able to shine properly. So far, we've mostly spoken about lyricists, but designers and artists who had some real commercial appeal, and you can't help feel that Kanye's to blame for him not being a bigger star, but simultaneously for him being a star at all. Designer was an unknown rapper who appeared on Kanye's 2016 album The Life of Pablo. Kanye fans thought it was Future, and he certainly fit into the quote-unquote mumble rap sound, which was huge at the time. On the surface, this looks like Kanye helping out another young rapper, but this is a lot more complicated when you look at the bigger picture. His song Panda was sampled on Father Stretch My Hands Part 2, but when you listen to the original track, it sounds almost identical, and Kanye basically just used his track. Designer released his album in May of 2018 with only 7 tracks. Later that year, Kanye released albums of the same length with Pusha T, Kid Cudi, and Nas. Kanye may have stolen the 7-track album idea from Designer, who knows. By 2020, he asked to leave Good Music. Getting signed to Kanye's label was a dream come true, but that's not how things panned out. He simply didn't get the time to talk to people at the label, including Ye. We also haven't talked about producers yet, so it's important to throw Hudson Mohawk into the conversation. The Scottish producer is known for helping with songs like All Day, Blood on the Leaves, and Waves. The electronic sounds in Kanye's more recent work can be partially attributed to working with this guy. But in 2016, he was frustrated. It was clear that his private complaints and conversations had no effect, and he decided to go public. He tweeted to say that Drake and Kanye had not paid him for his beats. He then threatened to release this music if he did not receive payment for his work. But friends and family soon talked him out of it. If he leaked this music, he would have been sued. He tweeted that he doesn't have the 10 milli to deal with the consequences. He also backtracked and didn't take any shots at Kanye. He later tweeted, "This is no shots at Kanye, it's shots at lawyers who weren't in the room on their side. Myself and Ye have absolutely no personal issue." Working with Kanye is sometimes not always what it's cracked up to be. In some cases, it can actually do more harm than good. But this video is not so much a damning indictment or expose of Kanye. It's more about starting a conversation. Do you think some of these artists would have fared better with Kanye or without Kanye?